Prime Ministership, we've had the so-called car park rorts, the so-called sports rorts, the Leppington Triangle issue has come up during your term of government as well. When it comes to integrity, you haven't introduced the bill to Parliament. You won't say you'll put it to a vote. Doesn't this ultimately come down to your integrity as a person and as Prime Minister?
Well, I don't share your description of the government.
How can Australians trust what you say now?
Let me tell you what we have achieved.
What was your reaction to hearing Brian Houston's resignation from Hillsong?
I think it was entirely appropriate, and I must admit we were very disappointed and shocked to hear the news. And the actions that have been taken are entirely appropriate, and I'm sure they will continue down that path as a church. I mean, I haven't been at Hillsong now for over about 15 years. I go to a local church in my own community, a Pentecostal church. I think everybody knows that.
So when you won the election just a few weeks ago, it was a big surprise, obviously, to a lot of Australia. I loved when you finally had the opportunity to give a victory speech. And of course, one of the first things you said were along the lines of, I believe in miracles. What did you mean by that?
Well, our life has been blessed by miracles. What's a miracle? A miracle is what the world can't see but God can see. That's what a miracle is. And
talking about a National Integrity Commission, you are asking Australians to trust you, and you haven't delivered on a promise about trust, about integrity. So how can Australians trust you when it's a broken promise, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Anthony Wheely joining us live now. He's a former Supreme Court judge in New South Wales, former Assistant Commissioner of ICAC in New South Wales. He's the chair of the Centre for Public Integrity. The Prime Minister said he put a model to the Parliament. It was rejected by Labor, therefore not a broken promise.
Look, it was criticised by the Labor Party, by the Greens, by independents, by all the academics and integrity commentariat right around Australia as being quite ineffective. But Kieran, he didn't put it to Parliament. He's never put the bill to Parliament. I think that's really the complaint. All he did was to have what they call a draft exposure bill, which means you put it out there and then you ask for submissions and comments. And all those comments, I think 90% of them, 98% of them were very negative. So, this was promised 3 years ago, and here we are, and it's never even been presented to Parliament.
He's critical of the New South Wales ICAC, the way that Gladys Berejiklian's case was handled. He clearly doesn't want a carbon copy of the ICAC federally. That's been made clear by the Prime Minister, isn't it?
Yes, well, he said, I don't want a kangaroo court model. We don't want that sort of model. So I think once again, but that's just a furphy. ICAC is not a kangaroo court, and the real reason why he says we don't want that model is because that's an effective model, because it would scrutinise things like the sports rorts and the car park rorts, and they don't want that looked at. This government, I'm afraid, does not want, as a matter of policy, scrutiny of their ministerial decisions or the administrative implementation of them. And that's because there's a real smell about them.
So I don't share that view. Look, my character, I'm happy to stand by every single day, because it's the strength that we've needed to get through this pandemic. Not everybody agrees with everything I've done, Carl, and not everybody will necessarily like me. But what I do know is this, and I'll finish where I started. This election is a choice. You're right about that.
No, you're an idiot, mate.
Stand down now.
You from the media, tell the Prime Minister to go and...
It's the project that creates the jobs, and the income limits we've put on...
Please. Go get off the grass, please.
Sure, let's just move back from there.
Come on. Hey guys, I've just reseated that.
Yeah, please, off the thing.
No, you're an idiot, mate.
Oh.
You really
You
are.
haven't getting any votes down here, buddy. You're an idiot. Who votes liberal around here? Nobody. No liberal votes. You're out, son. You are out. Good night, Lena. See you, mate. Bye.
What about the people who are dead now, Mr Prime Minister? What about the people who have nowhere to live?
You're not welcome, you fuckwit.
Well, I'm not surprised people are feeling very raw at the moment, and that's why I came today, to be here, to see it for myself, to offer what comfort I could, but you can't always in every circumstance. I think everyone understands that.
Look, there are a couple of more questions. Is Alan Tudge still a cabinet minister? I'm a little confused.
Yeah, Well, he is. He stood aside, and he stood aside. We had that inquiry, and it was found there was nothing there which would prevent him from continuing on as a minister.
And news.com.au has a story this morning that your government is about to pay out his ex-love of $500,000. Is that true?
I can't. I have no knowledge of that. That's a private matter.
So a government minister's ex-lover is going to get paid $500,000 in taxpayer money, and you don't know what for?
Well, that's speculation. I can't confirm that. And
just remind me, how does it all end again?
Brought to you by Freedom Media WA, where journalism should never be a government narrative. Like, share and subscribe to my channel to see real people telling real stories.